There we go. Hello, everybody. There we go. Happy Easter and welcome to my channel. It's my birthday, so I'm doing a birthday book tag for today's stream because I always do a tag and it's my birthday, so I just thought I'd combine them. It seemed handy. I've got a tag that was by Mike. There's a channel. I put the description details down below with all the questions. And I'm tagging anyone who has a birthday in the next 44 days. So if I'm calculating that right, that's until June 3rd. So I just figured you'd have enough time. It would be timely. It would be good content. They're interesting questions. Some of them I've answered before, but a lot of them took a lot of thought. So we'll see. Welcome again. We're in the business of tags today. Cupcakes, Easter. I actually have the last little few bites of a hot cross bun today. So if anyone is joining me with enjoying one of those for this season, let me know. I've had some really bad ones, but this one's very good. So the other detail just to get out there is I've got an ebook sale going and today is the last day. It's been on for a week. Just wanted to give people a screaming deal on my last book, Orla Rafferty Seeks Her Fortune, and my last and only box set of Remnants. So you can get 3 books for $4.44 because I'm 44, or 1 book for 99 cents. So that is what I popped into the chat if you want to check it out. What else? So I'm going to do a tag. I'm tagging folks who have birthdays coming up. I have an ebook sale and I'm eating hot cross buns and some cold tea because this is from like 40 minutes ago. What is everyone else eating and or drinking? Let me know. And I'll say hello to the folks in the comments. Elaine, Cobalt Dragon, was here very early, as was I, so I got to respond. And she says she's a sweetheart because she didn't sing happy birthday to me on Boxer. Kappa's here. Hello, hello. I love all the emojis. They're talking about earthy things, so I'm getting the tourist season vibe. Appreciate that. Anita is here. AF Stewart, hello. Albert, the conjugator, happy birthday. Thank you, thank you. And Leslie is here. Hello, hello, friend. So nice to see you guys. Jim is here. Happy birthday for tomorrow, Charlotte Bronte. Yes, my friend in appreciating the Brontes. And Shakespeare is the 23rd, so I don't want to leave him out. You know, lots of good birthdays in April. Oh, Elaine is back on her cheesecake spiel. Apple caramel cheesecake. Wow. Catpaw's got just coffee. All right, excellent. We've just had red eggs and pashka, Georgian Easter cake. Well, that sounds celebratory. Very nice. The big 4-4. Yeah. And 4 is my Enneagram type. So I don't know. It just feels like a good birthday. Rachel D. Adams. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. We've got Ven here. Hello. Oh, Leslie's got coffee and lox of cream cheese. Well, that sounds very fancy for a Sunday morning. Well done, you. Simply the best birthday in April. I don't know if that's from the Instagram story. I think it might be because I used Tina Turner's song for a story just a few minutes ago. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everybody and thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. This is quite an involved tag, this birthday book tag. And if I put the details in here, Mike's Book Reviews. There we go. That's what I couldn't remember the name of the channel. But I was just searching for a good one to do for the birthday, and this is where we are. Birthday cake is the first question. What is a book with a plot that seems cliche, but you adore it anyway? Okay, so I'm going to do this by sharing a screen because, as you may know, I am in California with family doing some other work, and I don't have all my books with me. I don't have a lot with me, so I'm really making do. And therefore, we are just going to be digitally viewing these things here. All right, so birthday cake. Cliche, but I adore it anyway. So I think this is maybe the second Mimi Matthews that I read. She's a historical romance writer, and she does love stories really well. They're really sweet. They're really angsty. They're like people who are perfect for each other, but for some reason just didn't have the right connection until poof, there it goes. So I love that. This is using the trope of someone being a companion to get into like a different environment. The concept of the weak link providing the best job opportunities might be the modern day equivalent, but I just love Mimi Matthews books. So that was going to go on here for an appreciative answer. 5 stars and back in 2020. Yeah, the first or second book I read of hers. Second question is unopened gifts. What is your most anticipated book release this year? And this was a hard one for me because I don't anticipate book releases. I don't look for them. I don't try to keep a pace of them, which is why Herkiad is especially difficult in that respect. And Libro.fm saves me. But I did look at several lists and try to find authors that I know, because I'm not going to go by hype. You know me, I am allergic to hype. But authors that I know and really like reading. We're going to go with Morgan Jerkins' Zeal, which is a novel that's coming out. She's had a novel before, so this is her second one. She's also had 2 memoirs, I believe. So this is her 4th book and second novel. And I read one of her memoirs and have not read the novel yet, but I think I have it. And I got these actually by looking through a very extensive historical fiction book release, new release list provided by the Historical Novel Society. So, in case you're looking for those types of books, which you might be if you're here, or you might not, I don't think many of my subscribers are actually huge historical fiction fans, but that is a really long list. So if you check out this list, it like goes on forever. So I did have to do a bit of work, but Morgan Jerkins, pretty excited about. The other one is an author that Jim knows and really appreciates as well. And that is, oh, I hope this link works. It's got a question mark at the end. I hope that's right. V.E. Schwab. So I read the A Darker Shade of Magic series. I forget what the series is called, but that's the first novel. She's a fantasy, portal fantasy, urban fantasy. I'm not sure. She does a lot of different kinds of literary fiction and fantasy melded together. So, I mean, you probably know who V.E. Schwab is, but she's a really great writer. And she has a new book coming out. And I don't know where in that genre mashup this one is going to be, but Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And so I highlighted the bookshop link for this one. And yeah, pre-order if you want to support an author from bookshop. Woohoo. Oh, speaking of pre-ordering to support an indie author, Independent Bookstore Day is coming up this Saturday, April 26th in the US. I think Canada has a different day for this, although it might be the same day, just a different name. But check out whether you have an indie bookstore doing something fun, because that would be a great occasion to go out, support them, find community, find book besties that you might connect with. That'd be fun. So yeah, so those are the new releases. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's do this again. It didn't end with the question mark. I just forgot that there's another line. Boom. There we go. There's the actual link. Yeah, see, Jim knows V.E. Schwab. She wrote Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I think she's got a newer one or 2 between that one and this one. She writes a lot. She's got like a good system down. I followed her early on and she really angsted over, getting big and becoming famous. So I'm hopeful that she's still feeling herself in all this. I know it's a hard balance reading some of her angsting over that. So I hope she's doing well. We've got, I mean, I want to call you my arch nemesis now because that's what you called me, but I don't know why there's a beef. Hi, Sci-Fi Funds. Welcome to the chat. Elaine says, awesome, you're with family for your birthday. Yeah, with my mom. And if anyone else tunes in to say hello from the family tree, you can leave a comment now. Oh, how funny. Elsie says, that's fun. No, I didn't see the story yet. Great minds think alike. Exactly. That's fun. Jocelyn's here. Hey, Jocelyn. Happy Easter. And okay, so Jim's here with the deets. Fragile Threads of Power more recently, but that was an extension of Darker Shade of Magic. Yeah. Not Vicious and the other V one. It's not that one, but I thought there was another one between Addie LaRue, but maybe not. That the hype on that one just went forever. It was a hype machine. I was teasing. Oh, right. Okay. I'm a live stream noob. So the spanner, or wrench, as we say in America, means that they are standard moderators, and that gives you some privileges. You can kick people out if they're being honky tonks. You can also post links without being shut down. So if you're a new person and I don't know you yet, you don't have a wrench, so you can't post links. If you say like, oh, hey, I'm doing this later, join me on the stream, it will X out. It will not allow your links. So I usually do that for most people so that they can post a link. Sexy lady. Hello. Good morning. Starting trouble. Yeah. Ven was right to label you a troublemaker, or maybe it was Elaine. Yeah. Oh, the rules. Okay. So once you pass 1,000 subscribers, you're required to have an arch nemesis. I did not know that. Okay. I will have to choose carefully because I think we'll be locked in combat for quite a long time if we're evenly matched. So, yeah. Jim says, I have spanner, hasn't been used yet. Yeah, well, feel free to post a link if you've got something going on. All right. Third prompt for the tag is birthday presents. What is a book that surprised you with how much you loved it? Okay, and I didn't know this one, and last night I had to come back for all my answers that I couldn't remember. So I'm just searching so I can bring it up because otherwise I have to scroll through a lot, and Storygraph doesn't. He did not like this. It does not like that. I don't know if any of you get that TikTok joke. Here we go. So this is the one that I listened to from Libro.fm. We love Libro.fm. The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella in 2023, it looks like. I had never read any of the Shopaholic books. This is a contemporary romance. I would say romantic comedy is her specialty. And I thought it was delightful. So I went and did a little Sophie Kinsella readathon, and you'll see like much later, I did Love Your Life more recently. But The Burnout was my first, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. I don't want to be prejudiced against romantic comedy. Contemporary is what I'm usually prejudiced against. So I tried it, and I was like, she was making me laugh out loud. Like I was howling. I was cackling for The Burnout. And also there were some really touching moments. So there's that like really great combination of deep emotion and relatable frustration and heartbreak, but also like hilarious hijinks at a coastal resort with a gal who's on burnout and like trying to relax at the beach. It was really good. I really liked it. Some other people I know have not. So I don't know. Maybe it's different depending on where you are in the Sophie Kinsella oeuvre, but she's an author who's written lots of books and has had an amazing sort of health journey, scare, comeback. And I think I think she's done really well talking to her audience about it. So another way to learn from another author. So that's that one. What did we say? Elaine says, I'm safe for a while, needing to have an arch nemesis. I mean, maybe you're precocious. Jexy lady, I'm way off then. Well, you never know. Like, you prepare for the day. Who knows? What did I do? I'm probably guilty, but I like to check. Calling him a troublemaker. Calling Sci-Fi Finds a troublemaker. Yeah. Elaine, me too. Oh, Leslie talking about subscribers. Yeah. 1 year? 3 years? Yeah, it's taken a while. Elaine says, LOL was probably Ven. I am the quiet one. I might refute that. Don't forget to boop the like button. Thanks, Jim. Sci-Fi Finds says to Shexy Lady, I got most of my subs from one specific video. It only takes one to blow up and send you over 1K. Good advice, good data point to consider. And then they said back, I guess I need to make more videos to get to the lucky one. Yeah, that sounds suspiciously like the dating advice. Like you need to meet more fish to find the one. Yeah, we're leaving that behind. Jim says, I rarely laugh out loud unless I'm at a comedy club where others are laughing. Oh, okay. I laugh out loud reading novels all the time. Not all the time, but like, I don't know, 10%. Most of the nonfiction does not make me laugh out loud. So, yeah. Did I say that? Sounds like me, to be fair. Elaine, I don't know. Maybe you guys can sign up for the Arch Nemesis Parade. Ginger Bibliophile Cat is here. Thank you. Someone spanner me. I have to do it. And I have to get on YouTube. So I normally don't do it during a stream, but I do it right after when I have the page still up. So you'll have to wait till next time. Yes, Van, you have a question. Oh, okay. If people have questions. Oh, speaking of which, if you have questions, I've left this a few times lately for people who are talking about books that everyone talks about. I'm always like, I always talk about the one no one talks about. So if you're interested in that, come by my channel. Yeah. But I'll put that on in case you have questions for my birthday. Cat's here. I am always well behaved in sprints. When you're doing them or when you're in the chat? I don't know. I'm getting sick of fishing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I gave up after November. Cat, back me up here. I think she's gonna let you fall on your face. There we go. There it is. All right. Let's see. Next prompt. Next prompt is the Happy Birthday Song, a book that certainly deserved all the hype it got. And here's another one that I was like, I don't know. And then last night I had to figure out an answer, right? So let's see. Let's go to here. And here's my pick. Boop. So I read this last year. It's called I Want a Better Catastrophe by Andrew Boyd. This is nonfiction, and it's someone who's been a climate activist and environmentalist for decades. And I really started to get disillusioned and despairing and like depressed, to give a lot of D words. And he started having interviews with folks who were making their own decisions about what to cultivate, what to act on, what to form alliances around. And so he's really given me a lot to think about in terms of positive action and forming community. And some of the economy books, some of the economics books that I've read around this issue about degrowth and stuff like that says that, you know, one of the ideas is to start a parallel economy that will work into the future so that when this one fails spectacularly and crumbles into dust, we will have built up some capacity alongside and we'll be able to leap from the train on fire to the little bucket train that can still go forward. So I don't know what you think of that metaphor, but that's sort of how I think about it. Sorry, I'm in the light. I'm going to try to move this so that I don't keep going into the sunlight here and making it weird. But yeah, I got this book. I won't say it's very hyped in popular culture, but I got it because it was recommended by a bookseller, and I had backed the bookstore on Kickstarter, and huge fan of the owner. And I asked her, what about environment? And she took this down, and she said one of the other Kickstarter members whose benefit was pick a book that I had to stock, picked this one. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me more. So, she basically passed on the recommendation, and I was like, oh, okay. So I tried it out, and I was like, oh my God, this is speaking to exactly where I am. So I don't think it's a beginner environment or climate book. It's for people who have tried and been like, what the bleep are we doing? I can't anymore, right? And then you get here, and this gives you a bit more shot in the arm kind of thing. Oh, are we not allowed to say that anymore? Because anyway, yeah. So that was hyped by a bookseller, which is where I would always prefer to get my hype, and really, really enjoyed it. And if you go back a few months, I was raving about this, and I gave a standalone book review video, so you can always search that out, and I will probably put it up here if I remember that this is the point where I want to leave a link. So yeah. Oh boy. Cat's talking about a sunburn. Oh, yeah. See, fall on your face. Slightly less red. Oh, Jack got sunburned. All right. I work in sustainable transport. So you're speaking my language here, arch nemesis. Ooh, that's exciting. Okay. Yeah, the train metaphor. I see how that would work for you. Excellent. Leslie says, I think Cagliostro, Tale of the Liverton, might turn into a book no one's heard of, but it's so dang good. It says question, but I don't see a question there. I know this is a D.L. Tillery book, Cagliostro, that you just read and highlighted on your channel with an interview with the author, which is great. If anyone's looking for indie horror books, then that's your cue. But let me know if I missed a point with the question. Kat says, though, to be fair, Elaine did start spamming me before I even started Friday, so you're in good company, Ven. Spamming with what? I am missing. Maybe I missed a stream or something. Is that particularly US centric? Better catastrophe. Okay, so the title does need a little explanation. Let me unravel that a little bit. So basically, we're hurtling toward catastrophe with capitalism as an economy, and the stock that we have set up, and the debt that we are incurring with the Earth's resources, with carbon. And so we're heading towards catastrophe, and his idea is that you can still do things to affect change. And even if we can't slow down the train before it goes completely off the cliff, you can make the tumble down the cliff face less painful for some of us. So he's basically talking about small projects, local communities, ways in which you can prepare for the event, and also form capacity, build capacity, and cultivate resilience. So he's like, okay, his main metaphor is a kayaker going down rapids, and you can go down rapids and fall flat in your face and get killed, or you can have an oar. I think that's what that's called, even with a kayak, where you can, here or there, you can bump off a rock so that you're not crashing against it, and maybe you'll make it through. And his point is that some of humans will make it through this, and we'll need certain skills and knowledge, and how do we get that into the community? So yeah, hopefully that explains it. Oh, we have a Melissa. Hello. She just got a notification. Excellent. 20 minutes. That's pretty good. Kat says, had to start early to catch up with you, and now little man's losing his mind, a neighbor being in their driveway. I mean, that sounds okay to me. Thank you, Melissa. Merci. C'est le 44e. Et je me sens assez vieille à ce moment-là. I won't say everything, but a lot of things hurt that didn't used to. I'll just say that. Oh, okay. Answering your banner question. So then you should probably put an A. That would help me figure that out. Yes, thank you. Elaine says, poor little man. This is the dog we're talking about, I'm pretty sure. Guard duty is tough work. He'll be napping soon. Ven says, I'll watch in a bit, slowly catching up on my booktube. Yeah. Sometimes with live streams, I will pause, go watch a video that's short that I can speed up, and then come back and speed up the live stream so that I can watch. I get it. Do what you got to do. It's okay. Kat's Friday night sprint. I spammed her early. Oh, okay. All right. Nice. I keep trying to give Mother Earth some plants to suck up some of that carbon, but she keeps offing them. I feel you. I feel you, Kat. I have a black thumb too. Joyeux anniversaire. Thank you, Mad. Nice to see you here. Oh, Jim says, pas si vieille, moi j'ai 60 ans. Well, you look in the peak of shape, Jim, so I don't know. Oh, no. How's your shoulder activation doing? I hope it's going well. Yeah. I'm following in your footsteps there. Pas du tout. Oh, see, everyone's being nice. Thank you, guys. Wow, 5 years of friendship, I only understood a little bit of that. Well, I've had like 12 years, so don't feel bad, Kat. Like, I really got into it. Yeah. I do look younger, but there's like certain people that just maintain. I don't know what it is. It might be a facial feature thing, because it's not anything I do. Like there's no beauty routine. There's no morning, evening, anything. I brush my teeth, and I'm happy that I remember to do that. So, yeah. Starting to catch up with me though. The silver strands here are starting to be unignorable. So we'll see how long it takes to cover the whole head. Cat Paw says, I have the same problem. Ginger. Oh, French. Still working on the shoulder. C'est mieux. Bien. I'm glad to hear that. Cat says, oh man, it's my pup. Now the neighbor's cat has wandered over and all mines have been lost. Oh. Yeah, silver foxes are in right now. I don't know. They were in like 5 years ago. I think that's kind of like done, but who knows? Maybe I'll be a silver fox by the time it comes back into style. Yeah. Well, Leslie's got a really cool like it's got character. It's got its own like colorways. I've been watching people talk about wallpapers, and like it goes together really well. Mine are just like so we'll see. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Kat. You're only as old as you feel, so somewhere between 3 and 100 most days for me. I know. I'm like, when I grew up, I was definitely a backcracker in class, and maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago I started not popping my back, like it just wouldn't pop. And now definitely won't, even when it's like sore and I'm trying to do something. So it's like, ugh. Anyway, getting old. It's not for the cowardly. All right. So the next prompt, thank you guys for sticking with me for this, is Birth Year, a book that was published the year you were born. Okay. And so far, the questions have asked for books that I have used, books that I've read for, right? Like I love, I appreciate, not cliche, etc. But I'm also going to mix in books that I have not read yet, because that was easier for some of the questions. And I think it's nice to have a mix. And if you have read any of these that I haven't read, feel free to weigh in with your opinions. So this is on my TBR, but it won't be on my read list. So let me quickly look it up. This one. So I got a used copy of this, and I was very excited. 1981, Angela Davis, Women, Race, and Class. So obviously nonfiction, obviously a classic with Angela Davis, and intersectionality. So we're talking about like, I don't know if it's the history of the movement or if it's more like a academic exploration of how these things affect and with examples, because it could go either way, right? Or a totally different way that I don't know. But I'm excited because when I read The Intersectional Environmentalist recently, they were talking about the first lawsuit. I think it was the early 80s, where GM had fired a bunch of Black women, and the lawsuit was charging prejudice because it was just the Black women that were fired in this layoff round. And they said, well, you're not discriminating against all Blacks, and you're not discriminating against all women, so it can't be discrimination. And it was like the legal profession lost their minds. Like that was the law, and so they had to change it before they could actually charge him with anything. I was like, wow, that is the stupidest thing. Like that's the reason why I wish law had more common sense in it rather than like all these tiny little details where it's like, obviously, but no, it's not in the record yet, so we can't use that argument. I'm like, but it's completely stupid. Anyway, so we'll see what's in this one. I'm excited to read it. I don't have a specific date because I'm a mood reader, but it's on the short list. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the top 10 in my birth year, or I could have read this for her kid. So we'll see what I end up reading for her kid for that prompt. Let's see. Elaine said, cracks me up, young women dye their hair gray. I put in 61 years and earned my gray hair. Cat Paw's laughing at that as well. All right. Jumping off now. It was fun chatting with you and all the spanners in here. Next time you come, I'll have the wrench ready for you. Jim says, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was published the year I was born. Roald Dahl. Good stuff. Trixie Lady, I'm keeping my gray too. Excellent. And Kat says, Lane, Mom always said it was the family's fault for every gray she had. They were well earned. Redheads don't go gray though. We go straight to white. Ooh. Cool. Are you calling me a tool? Oh, I used to tell my students it was their fault. Hey, they contribute, right? Everyone contributes. Everyone contributes. What did I recently? Oh, I recently watched The Residents on Netflix, and they referred to Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie in the way that their murder mystery was set up similarly, in that you kept finding red herrings because everyone did something wrong and it all contributed to the murder scene, but like didn't do the murder. So it's pretty hilarious. So if anyone has watched that and enjoyed it, let me know. It was good. We'll have to get him back in the next stream. Spanner, a stupid or unintelligent person, one prone to making mistakes, especially in language. I didn't know that was the usage of spanner. Use spanner, Rodney. Nice. Cat Paw says, only found one I want to read from my year, and Agatha Christie. For the year you were born. Agatha Christie? It must have been a reprint, because I think she died in the 40s, right? Elaine says, I just dyed mine, had some color to use, but not sure about coloring again. Maybe one and back to full gray. Yeah, you had some fun with the purple. When you were showing your earlier videos, remember when I saw there were 3 Elaines and I was like, what's happening? I think you were talking about the dyeing colors and like purple or blue or something, which is fun. Nice tip, Jim. I've never heard that. I was just guessing it's a Brit term for wrench. I'll have to use that for my supervisors now. Angela Davis. Yes, I particularly found her critique of the white-led suffrage movement. Oh, that was a good one then. Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Jocelyn says, I started graying in my 20s. It's genetic. Starts with a storm streak in the front. I think you mean storm like from Marvel or one of the comics. People are going gray on purpose, and mine is already gray, so I didn't bother to dye it. Exactly. Interesting. Hey, Emma. Thank you. Hope you're enjoying a lovely Easter with your hot cross buns. I had the last little bit of mine here, but yeah, you look like you had quite the staff. Ginger, I found a single white hair in my 20s now. It's just getting super thin. Yeah, I used to get white hairs and like pluck them out. They were right near the hairline. Ugh, hated it. That was really fun. Elaine's video, I think. Yeah. Oh, 76? Wow. Okay. She either lived much longer or was born much later than I was imagining. Okay. Thank you. Correct that. I know. That's why I was like, it must have been a reprint or something, which counts. So, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. I stand corrected. Okay. And next prompt is Getting Older, a book that you read a long time ago, but you think that you would appreciate it more if you read it as a more mature reader. So I recently did this actually with The Book of Migrations by Rebecca Solnit, and I liked it a lot more than I remember liking it. But the ones that I put in for this are there's two. I picked up two, and it's not going to link. Okay. This one by Barbara Kingsolver, Animal Vegetable Miracle, A Year of Food Life. So when I picked this one up, I was more of like a foodie and trying to go sustainable with food. And now I think I've sort of passed on to like more world sustainability rather than just looking at food because I don't understand growing food. So like I needed to evolve and learn a lot more. So I think if I went back, I would probably enjoy this more. I gave it 4 stars, but like Barbara Kingsolver is a great writer, and I think I should like it more. The other one I read even earlier, and that is a classic that I read for school and did not like it. And I'll tell you, it's a stupid reason. I think it was like 8th grade. So I was about 12. And the reason I didn't like it was because of the punctuation. That's 12-year-old Margaret. I own it. Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton. I was just like so irritated by the fact that there were dashes instead of quotation marks. This is the first time I'd come against this, obviously. So yeah, I think if I went back to read this, and I've put it in a reread pile in Portland in my apartment, and I just haven't sort of come across like the right time to reread it because I reread so seldom. But I do want to give this a different age look at the book. It's a classic about South Africa and its evolution of justice. And so I think that it's probably worth what everyone says about it, but I remember being really annoyed. So I need to go back to that and see if I can change that memory. So yeah, I still have it from my 8th grade or 7th grade class. So that's weird. That's weird. The next prompt is Sweet Birthday Memories. What is a book that kept you incredibly happy during a sad or demanding period of your life? And this is a fun one. No one's ever heard of this book. Hold on one second. But I loved it, and I hung on to it for a really long time, and I still have it, actually. It's by an Australian author called Anna Johnson. It's called 3 Black Skirts, All You Need to Survive. And I think my sister got this for me when I asked for it in college, like maybe junior year. And it's got all sorts of things that you would find in like a fashion magazine about how to decorate your home and how to choose your wardrobe and how to unplug a pipe or when you move into your first apartment, and like a really young adult, new adult, I guess, stuff. But it's also got like references that I didn't know to cultural icons from the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. And I looked them up, and it was like decor history and stuff that I would never get from my upbringing. And I just thought it was pretty fascinating. So it gave me like a whole different context of cultural reference. And I really like that. There's also a bit where it's talking about mood management and like, dating and sex before I had done any of that. And it was like, oh, okay, like here's a safe way to explore. So I remember this so fondly and read it so many times and like tried to arrange things so my place would look cool in whatever space I was. I just remember like this was the Bible for a while, so I still have it because it's fond memory. Party guests. The next prompt is, if you could spend your birthday with any fictional character, who would it be and why? And I have a few entries into this. Mostly they're like cinnamon roll heroes from romances that I've read. So let's see. If you've followed the channel for a while, you know that I love this series called Lady Violet, and it's by Grace Burrows. And it's a mystery that's historical and romantic. So, I mean, you could tell by this. I think this is a totally awful cover series. I mean, it shows it for what it is, that's a romance, but also like it's so dated. I think they came out in the mid-90s, so it was dated for when it was published anyway, I think. But yeah, they they haven't updated them. So anyway, the series has 2 love interests, and it goes for like 14 books, and I think I've read most of them at this point. And there's one who's French and there's one who's Scottish, and I was like, I how do you choose, right? But I would choose the Scottish guy because he's super sweet, super charming, of course handsome. He's a doctor. He's like allowed to be tuned into women's needs because he's French, and he doesn't let his like pride, which the Scottish one and the English characters have too much of. So he's like the perfect man. So that's definitely who I'd want to spend time with. Definitely a cinnamon roll. I also said, let's see, this one is a more recent read for Herkyad. And it's Olivia Atwater, who wrote Half a Soul, but also 10,000 Stitches. There's a character in this called Lord Blackthorn, and he's enigmatic and also delightful. And the way I picture him is like sort of a strange, concentrating on something else, sort of tuning in, sort of understanding, sort of not. I'm getting almost like a on the spectrum vibe, but magic, can do magic, so that would be nice. And very tuned into nature, like a servant of Blackthorn would. So I think he'd be a really interesting character to spend time with. And the last one I did was from another favorite romance, which is Kathy Yardley's Do Me a Favor. And this love interest's name is Hudson, and he's a handyman, and he's been a caretaker, and he has a great family community on this island off of Washington. And this lady moves out there and needs help, and then they sort of fall for each other. But he seemed really chill and fun and, tripping over his feet a little bit, but he seemed really cool. And like would bring me out of my shell. So I like that one as well. So 3 cinnamon roll heroes for my birthday. I would, if anyone can make that happen. Time of the season is the next prompt. And let me just check in with the chat before I keep going. We're talking about gray hair still. And Agatha Christie's most famous books were written in the 30s. That must be why I have like 20s and 30s in my mind for her. Nicole came in. Hello. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, gray hair, not too much. My hubby went salt and pepper by age 21. Oof, that's kind of rough for friends teasing you, I bet. And my dad went nearly gray by 35. Ooh, all the cool peeps have gray hair. The cat says my brother skipped the grays and went straight to balding in high school. Yeah, there's another alternative. Shave it all off at that point. Bald heads are beautiful. To each their own opinion. It was karma. All right. Books for stressful times. I dive deep into Harry Potter and fairy tale retellings after a few hundred rejections. Job hunting. Yeah, escape into fantasy. Valid. Elaine says, oh, people lost their minds when I went bald for charity. They got to watch my hair get cut. It was long. It took a few minutes. I did it for Make-A-Wish. Nice. They lost their minds, huh? Maybe that was helpful for the fundraiser because they didn't think you'd go through with it. I don't know. Had fun with wigs for months. was winter and my head got cold. Well, there's that too. That's downside. Nice. My brother looks a lot like me, but without the hair boos or any knowledge of mascara or eyebrow pencil. Okay. We aren't meant for bald, but he called me fat my whole childhood. So yeah. Okay. Karma. There you go. And nice. Did you go all pixie or multicolored, Elaine? Yeah. Wigs are fun. I experimented with wigs, for a time. I did have one blonde wig. I don't remember where I got it. It was in Southeast DC somewhere. There was a costume shop near Eastern Market. I remember going in there and being like, wow, I've never thought about wearing a wig outside a theater. That could be fun. So yeah, here's to just trying boundaries and, trying new things. Yeah, students loved it. That's cool. Time of the season. So this one is find a book that takes place in the season you were born. So this one also was difficult, and I waited till last night. And here's how I handled this prompt. This is books I have not read, so I don't know if they necessarily take place in the season I was born in, but they certainly seem like it. So I love this site called The Bottle Imp. It's a Scottish folklore-centered literary magazine online, if you followed all that. And I don't remember how I got turned on to it. I'm sure it was like some link, and then I signed up for their newsletter. And it only comes like once every few months, but they have these great stories that are related to history, to place, to culture, to language in Scotland. And yeah, The Bottle Imp is actually the name of a story by Robert Louis Stevenson. So that's a Scottish writer that they're getting their name from. And so when they send these out, I usually wait and click on the links when I have time. And they take me to writings or blog posts or whatever. And that's how I found these 3 books. So one is called, what is this a link to? Storygraph. All right. It's in Storygraph. So this one, let me put it back up on the screen here. The Salt and the Flame by Donald Murray. And you see I tag it, The Bottle Imp, here because it's on my wish list. When Finlay and Myrid, which is my name in Scots Gaelic, board the SS Metagama in 1923, leaving the Scottish island of Lewis for Canada, their lives, along with those of the islanders they leave behind, are changed forever. So it basically is a novel about people leaving in 1923 instead of my own book, which is in 1823, but it's a similar immigrant story to a different province in Canada. It goes through the Great Depression and, as it says at the end, paints a vivid portrait of the resilient Hebrideans in exile who struggled between holding on and letting go. And that's one of the things I just love reading about, writing about, just keeping this concept of home. How do we know what home is? How do we justify our roots? How do we hold on and let go at the same time and make room for everybody? So that was a good one that I put on my wish list. The next one is not coming up. There we go. It's called Borrowed Time by Jenni Daiches. I don't know how to say that last name, but it seems about right. And this one is someone who goes to Scotland. A year after the sudden death of her husband, Sonia Billings impulsively leaves her Yorkshire home of nearly 4 decades for a rundown railway carriage in the Scottish Highlands, much to the dismay of her 3 grown children, who would prefer that she remain in England. But with her 70th birthday approaching, Sonia, whose mother died at 70, feels that 73, feels that she's living on borrowed time and must make the most of what she has left. So this seemed like it was going to be a little bit like the May of the Moderns novel that I read and really liked by, oh, my back just cracked. Sorry, I had to take that extra breath so that I can make it crack. Now I can't remember. I did a buddy read of it with someone. So it's a buddy read for a past May of the Moderns. And it was a woman who was basically disinheriting her children, a rich woman in the 20s. And it was so funny. It was really good and poignant, but also funny. So this reminds me of that vibe, and I think I would really enjoy it. So that's on my wish list. And then the last one is going to appeal to you pagan folks. This is The Time Traveler's Herbal, an historical handbook for the budding apothecary by Amanda Edmiston. And I just thought this was really neat. This is probably like up Elaine's alley here. It's talking about plants and herbs and the history of the herbalist's art. So it's got remedies, recipes. I've got several books like these that have plants and what people knew about them in different times and what they used them for in other times and what logic they used to make the plant medicine. And I just like learning about that. Not that I'm using them, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting. So yeah, stories and recipes from the historical apothecary cabinet. So that looked really good. So those are my three that sound springy, right? So like Leaving to Go to Canada, an herbal that is historical, and the Salt and the Flame, the Borrowed Time, which is Leaving to Go to the Highlands in retirement. They sound springy to me. I don't know. Let's see. We've got another friend coming in. Alexandro Moyotl. Hello, how are you today? Welcome. We're having a little birthday tag and live stream. So yeah, Elaine says my hair is way too thick for wigs now. So cousin, it works, but Lowell gets crazy hot. Cousin, I'm missing. Sometimes it works, maybe. I had a black red pixie wig once. Folks lost their minds till they realized it was just Halloween leftovers. Yeah. And Leslie says, I have a couple buddies of mine that would be interested in the Bottle Imp. It's a fun one, literary magazine, but not submitting short stories necessarily. Some of it is short stories and poetry, but a lot of it is like diving into this folklore legend or like this museum acquiring something or like cool little things like that. Almost envy you, Margaret. My back just cracks as I walk or move in a chair. Yeah, it's just that pop, that release of air that relieves tension in a joint. I used to be able to do that like 7 in a row, and now I see it seems I can't do it by twisting very often. I can't do it on the back of a chair because I never have the chair at the right height. But sometimes, like, if I take a really deep breath and like hold it, it'll push out the right vertebra. Tricks of the trade. What can I say? Oh, that sounds like something my niece would love. She keeps trying to get an herb crystal shop going, but lives in Florida, so not much of a market for it. Oh, mail order? I mean, the Postal Service is not at its best right now, but maybe. Definitely sounds like a book I would enjoy. Same, I like reading about it. Yeah. Addams Family, long-haired creature, It. Oh, Cousin It. Wait. Where was it? Where was it? Ah, there we go. Got it. Okay, so Cousin It works, but it gets crazy hot. Now I get it. Thank you. All right. Okay, so the next prompt is Color of Love. Find a book that is the color of your birthstone. So the color of my birthstone is up for interpretation. It's a diamond. So like a diamond is all colors. So I have 2 answers for this. The first one, these are wish list books, so I have not read these yet. The first one is a book a friend of mine has read and really liked, and I found in a bookshop and really wanted to get it, but I held back. So it's at Bold Coffee. It's called True Biz, a novel by Sarah Novick. And yeah, so it takes place in a school for the deaf, and they want to be normal. This revelatory novel plunges readers into the halls of a residential school for the deaf, where they'll meet Charlie, Austin. A series of crises, both personal and political, threaten to unravel each of them. Charlie, Austin, and February find their lives inextricable from one another and changed forever. So yeah, they looked really good. And yeah, just reading about another community about which I do not know much at all is invigorating. So there's one. And I think this is like a diamond, because diamonds are all colors combined, kind of like light is all colors combined to make white. So this is like all the colors of the rainbow pretty much on the cover. And I don't know, fight me if you don't think that makes sense. The other one, the other one is one that I found in what's it called? On Time and Water. Looking up Climathon books. So this is called On Time and Water by Andri Snar Magnusson. That's my best guess as to pronouncing a Scandinavian name. So it's talking about the history of water, because water holds history in it, in the ice, over millennia, right? So, and this looked like a diamond to me. It's, I think, an overhead view of an island in the sea when it's very dark, but it looks like a sparkling diamond. And so I was like, that's definitely got to be the birthstone prompt. And it's on my list for Climathon, but we'll see if I get to it. I don't think I could find it at my library. So yeah. So those are my like diamond-ish kind of books. The next prompt is Party Anywhere. Pick a book set in a time period, world. Oh, I didn't know it said world. I didn't read this closely enough. Or country you would like to have been born in. So I picked the two countries that I will always want to go back to, which are Paris, France, and anywhere in Scotland. So a friend, Daniela at Uncommon Reader, recently recommended this book for me. So it is on my wish list. And let's see if it comes up. It is not. There it is. Okay. So Daniela, Uncommon Reader, I have it tagged, and it's on my wish list by Bunning. And she just said it was a really lovely sort of travelogue, but a little deeper, talking about being in Paris. And I don't think it has an English language version, or maybe it does, but it's old. You can tell by the cover, so it'll be harder to find. So we'll see if I ever get to that. And the other one I just got. Oh, shoot. And I didn't bring it downstairs. So this is the book that I just found yesterday at a bookstore. So Andrew Miller wrote Pure, which I was fascinated by and really enjoyed. And I haven't read any other books by him. So I saw this. Now We Shall Be Entirely Free. On one rain-swept winter's night in 1809, an unconscious man is carried into a house in Somerset. He is Captain John Lacroix, home from Britain's disastrous campaign against Napoleon's forces in Spain. Gradually, Lacroix recovers his health, but not his peace of mind. He will not, cannot talk about war or face the memory of what took place on the retreat to Corunna. After the command comes to return to his regiment, he lights out instead for the Hebrides, unaware that he has far worse to fear than being dragged back to the army. Ooh. So, I mean, escape to Scotland. You can see the theme here, and a writer who really knows how to amp up the suspense and tension and surprise twists. So this is what I'm looking forward to in this book. And I did just get a copy of it for like $4. So go use bookstores. A couple more prompts. Oh, there's more like 5. 30 plus club. Name a book or series. Oh, wait. Name a book or series with a protagonist that is 30 years old or greater. And what is my favorite series, everybody? I'll give you a few seconds to put it in the comments, and I'll take a sip. Is it smelling like mold? I think there's something wrong with the mug. Ba-ba. Hi, Constance. Happy Easter. Joyeuse Pâques. Fight. I agree, but challenge a redhead to a fight. I gotta say, let's go. Messages from Water. Interesting read. Don't remember the author. Oh, yeah, that would be Diamond Like too. I think it's a Japanese author. My mom was into those books for a while. They were really pretty neat to look at the photography of like crystalline structure. I think if I'm getting what you're talking about. Jim says, I lived for 6 years in France. I worked in Paris for 3 of those years. Yes. Yes. Kat says, used bookstores are the best, only ones in my price range. Pretty much, unless it's a special occasion. Jim got it. So my answer is yes, the Macy Dobbs series. But I said Macy Dobbs gets there because I think she starts out as like late 20s. And then, we follow her long enough that she's gone from early 20s after the Great War to like World War II, which is 28, 38, 20 years. So she's at least late 30s, right? Early 40s, at least early 40s. So yeah, Macy Dobbs gets there. And if you haven't heard me talk about Macy Dobbs, Jim, close your ears for a second. Maisie Dobbs is a character who grew up in London with a very interesting family background, working class, and she has a great opportunity to work in a big house in service. And then she captures the eye of someone who is a visitor at this great house, who is a famous detective, kind of like a Poirot, and very enlightened. And so the family and the detective sort of take her under their wing. She becomes this detective herself. So it's a detective series, but also talking about her family history and her very bohemian way or enlightened way of perceiving people. So one of the things that really makes Maisie Dobbs stand apart is that she's like almost like an energy healer. She's sort of like trying to pick up not just what people are saying or their body language, but also like something else is going on here. And I don't know. I really liked that like psychological, not just horror and creeping tension, but like psychological wholeness to her analysis. And I just thought that was really great. The series is by Jacqueline Winspear, if anyone needs to know. Yeah, correct. The water photos and experiments. Cool. Very cool. Jim has only read one of Maisie Dobbs, A Sunlit Weapon, and that is like the second to the last in the whole series of like 20 plus books. So yeah, you may have to reread the first one, Jim, because it's really good. Yeah. Okay, but well done on guessing the series. You know me well. Birthday Memories, a book that represents who you were when you were younger. This is sort of a weird one, but I chose a time when I was younger but still publishing. So when I first started publishing, I had a book as my sort of Bible in this new industry that is called Ape, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur, How to Publish a Book by Shawn, Welch, and Guy Kawasaki. And I don't know if both, maybe the latter one is sort of a big name in indie publishing or, like TED Talk kind of space. But Ape was sort of like the early tech bros in publishing, but not as tech bro-y as it got at this point in time, right? So before, this is like 2010 or something. And so when I picked that up and I absorbed all these lessons and all these things that I never thought about, and like some of it I still don't know, in terms of like sourcing and supply chain and all these things that go into publishing a book, and the history of printing and like how that led on to certain things. Like it's very interesting. And this book only dips a toe in it, but it was totally enough for me to try to absorb at that point, because writing a book, editing a book, formatting a book, publishing a book, like there's already a lot to learn. So after 23, this is my 12th year of publishing. After 12 years, I look back at that, and I gave away the book recently. I sold it back, and I thought, I don't know if this will be that useful, because the landscape has changed a lot. But yeah, I've definitely passed that high water mark, I guess. So that was interesting to note that it was like a past me. Neat. The next prompt is This Birthday, a book that represents where you are in your life now. And this is sort of a weird one too. Oh, she sounds interesting. More to add to my TBR. Yes, I think you would like her. So Maisie Dobbs is like the gold standard, but I would say the silver surfer underneath would be Iona Wishaw's books, which take place in British Columbia. So if you want to like support a Canadian author, I think she's the Canadian version rather than the British version. They're not as good. They are funny and they are like very tense and lots of action, and historically like talking about marginalized communities, but there isn't that same like psychological wholeness that Maisie brings. So, but it is a good series. Ooh, experiments with water. Okay, I think that's a sub Reddit conversation. All right, so book it represents where I am in my life now. So the ones that I bring this back up, actually, let me just go to the ones I'm reading now. So, I'm always reading several books at a time. This one, I would definitely say, is reflective of my mindscape now. Rituals for Climate Change, a Crip Struggle for Eco-Justice by Naomi Ortiz. So as I'm reading this, it's poetry, but it's like memoir poetry. So it's definitely talking about her own experience living in the Southwestern desert and loving nature, and then trying to take her own history of lots of surgeries, lots of issues using her body and being independent, and her relationship with others in her life, and her relationship with nature, and like talking about all these things and how they've evolved. So that to me is like where I want to be in terms of being aware, being conscious, having done the work, being able to see things that you couldn't before, and reflecting on this and making that part of your main work, like showing other people that we should all be engaging in this sort of relational understanding. And so I love that this person is doing this and inviting us in. So there's some really what would I call them? Stark or thought-provoking or poignant poems in here, and I didn't even know it was going to be a poem book. But yeah, so I'm reading that for Climathon, and I have that out from the library. I think it might even be late, but I mean, I'm 1,000 miles away from Portland, so they're going to have to wait until I get back. Sorry, Multnomah County. All right, so then another one would be this one, which I did read recently for Climathon. It's called It's Not Just You by Tori Tsui, How to Navigate Eco-Anxiety and the Climate Crisis. And, it wasn't exactly the book that I was hoping for, but it is indicative of like the person I am now. So that's why I chose that for this prompt. What I wanted was a book that's talking about living in a world that's going crazy and looking around and being like, why isn't everyone else going crazy? Like, so that's the book I want. If you know that book, tell me what it is and I'll look that up. But that's sort of the feeling that I've been grappling with lately. And then the last one is this book, which I had in a wrap up not too long ago, called The Slow Road North by Rosie Shop. And this is one I read. Did I read it? It says audiophile. Oh, I learned about it from audiophile, but then I got a paper copy from the library because it's pretty new. And this is a woman who is a writer on the East Coast, I think in New York, and had a lot of grief happen in her life and was like, I cannot handle this. I have to leave. And she goes to this landmark trust property for sort of a retreat for a few days in Northern Ireland. And she goes back a few times and really makes a good connection with some of the people there. And so it keeps drawing her back. And she sort of flings tradition to the wind and moves to Northern Ireland, and now she's living there. And this is the sort of courage that I am aspiring to. It's just like doing what is right for you and finding the community that will support you in that mission. So I really liked that, and I think I'm on my way to that, but we'll see. We'll see. So those are 3 books that I think reflect like where I am now. I needed a little sprinkling because I'm kind of all over the place. So yeah. Let's see. I'm not gonna post that, cat. Jim says, Evil Amazon have bundled together 2 Maisie Dobbs books for $1.99. I just ordered number 7 and number 8 combined. Okay, we're going in random order backwards, so I cannot vouch for that experience, but I hope they're good. So I hope you enjoy them. 2 more prompts. We've got Every Birthday, a book that represents something that has never changed about you. So we've got past me, we've got present me, and this is sort of both, right? Something that's never changed about me. So for this one, I have a good answer. So even if I didn't always have this like love for Scotland, I did always have this yearn to travel and curiosity about other cultures. So when I wanted to be an international development, that's what fired it. When I wanted to travel the world and be a travel blogger, that's what fired it. And then when I dove into historical research for writing, this is like just playing into it in a different way. So if this page ever freaking loads, you'll get to see a book by Alice Steinbach. So I often have recommended her without reservations. And that is the first book of hers that I read. She is a Baltimore area journalist who's won Pulitzer Prizes and passed away a few years ago. Not that one, this one. And this is her second book. So in the first book, Without Reservations, she has, I can't remember if it's divorced or that her husband died, but she's sort of gone through this journalist life, this married life, and has adult children, and then is sort of turning over, well, what do I do now? And she goes on this adventure, meets a lovely man, and like renegotiates her engagement with life. And Educating Alice is the second book where she, I think, is a little bit more playful about this and upfront about the fact that she likes trying new things. So Educating Alice, Adventures of a Curious Woman, is 4 different places that she goes where she goes, well, I'm going to try this new thing. And it's, like learning from a shepherd how collie dogs work the herds. And I was like, what? Yes. So I read this long before TikTok and watching dogs be able to, round up the sheep and everything. But now I love doing that on TikTok. So I don't remember some of the other adventures, but she, I think, has 4 where she goes around and she spends a few weeks learning about a trade or a history or a community and just talks about how that affects her and what she thinks of it. And that's that curiosity about the world that I have always had. So that's something that hasn't changed. And I don't know, if you read something like that, think of me. That's what I would say would link me to that. Leslie says, Annie from Obscure Book Adventure definitely covers books I've never come across. Okay. I may have missed what that relates to, but does it have pictures? I want to see all the cute herd dogs. No, it does not. It's just not a cat. You have to look those up. And then finally, the prompt is Happy Music, a book with some very beautiful and truly memorable quotes. So this is one that I have in my hand, and it's one I just reviewed recently. It has lots of tabs. This also could have worked for the surprise how much I loved it, right? Because, I mean, look at this. It's a 1980s used book called For the People's Cause, from the writings of John Murdoch. And if you don't know, John Murdoch was a 19th century man who was born in Perth, spent most time on Isla, spent a little bit of time in Ireland, and did a lot to fire up um, the uh, the people in small town Scotland to fight for land reform. So you had Scottish peasants and crofts that were threatened with getting kicked out, as I detail in my books. And he was basically saying, you have a way to fight this. Check this out. Here's this law. Here's that law. Here's this person. Vote for this person if you're a 40 shilling landholder, whatever, depending on the time and the reforms. And so he went around the countryside, tramping around in his kilt, and was trying to have meetings and tell people what they could do. And then he had his own magazine for 7 or 8 years, not magazine, newspaper, the Highlander, before it folded because it was too expensive. But he was trying to make people proud of their heritage instead of submissive, and give them a feeling of unity. So in this, he's reminding me a lot of like Daniel O'Connell. He's later, he's in the 1880s doing his agitation, but Daniel O'Connell from the 20s to 30s to 40s was that person in Ireland. And he's now like one of the main politicians of yore that people think of. So there's a lot in this book that was his own thoughts that were really cool. So one of them, let's see, I just tried to find a good one here, which is a little like what I've done, is why did we fall in love with Highland things, right? Why do I have this obsession? So he was born in Perthshire, grew up in Isla. So he's a Highland Islands person, but I definitely am not. But here's what he says. Another thing, I had always cherished a poetic and exalted idea of everything Highland. The word itself was beautiful in my eyes, as were the mountains and glens, with their woods, waterfalls, and overhanging clouds. Then the poetic mind of the Highland people had made for them a world of their own, which the mere Saxon, no offense, could not realize or imagine. No picture was so acceptable to me as that of a small, kindly, enlightened Highland family in its cottage beside the burn, with its hazel, its blackthorn, its birch, its bramble, its primrose, and its meadowsweet in the light of the sun, and in the shelter of a cozy glen. Every way you take it, the idea of the Highlands is elevating. And to suit all, I donned the Highland dress to be all the more really Highland. And so that talks about why he was tramping around in the kilt. So, I mean, that goes a little bit to the romanticization, is that right, of the Highlands, which happened during Queen Victoria's reign. But, you know, as long as we know that there's that danger, we should know not to go that far and just appreciate, right? And have some pride in something without romanticizing it. Constance says, I keep hoping for a series for younger readers that features someone they could see themselves in who becomes a climate hero, maybe 2 or 3 someone's. The people that Andrew Boyd interviews in that book are really good to look into. So he has, I don't know, maybe 8 interviews with different people around the country, around the world, and they all have different views on like where we're headed. But I would really recommend I Want a Better Catastrophe for looking into other figures that have been in the climate fight and how they're addressing the state of the world now, because I thought it was really, really helpful. Cat Boss says, I don't know how they have aged, but I and Claudius Travels with My Cat and Of Cats and Kings by Claire de Vries. Is that for the climate hero? Oh, look! Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. Thank you. So there we go. That's what I'm going to close out with. Let me see if I need to remind you of anything. Let's see. It is the 20th. I've got lots of other work to do. But if you like bookish mail, I've got a Patreon tier for that. So if you want postcards, I have brought them with me. Even though I don't have all my books, I do have all my book postcards. So those will be going out on the 1st of May. And you can find out more at Patreon _MP4. Coming up on the channel, we have a Wednesday wrap-up this Wednesday the 23rd on Shakespeare's birthday, and final Friday of April for productivity stream. So if you want to hang out, usually it's 9:30 to 11:30 on Friday morning. That's Pacific time. And so busy week. And other than that, thank you for joining and diversify that reading list. Absolutely not, but travel isn't interacting with where you go. Funny, cringy, sad. Oh, I see. Okay. Curiosity and travels. Gotcha. Okay. Leslie says, I was reflecting on how you tend to champion books that few people have heard of and thought of Annie's channel. Okay. I think I'm subscribed, but maybe they don't post too often, so I don't see them come up too often. So I'm not watching them, but I've definitely seen them, and I think I'm subscribed. So yeah. Okay. Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, everybody. Yeah. So now I'm gonna have some lunch, go out and enjoy the beautiful California sunshine with a scarf, and probably get out into the garden because it's tourist season. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming by, and I appreciate you very much. Take care and happy reading, everybody.